Today we play with stencils again, but these are not just the Mylar stencils. They are adhesive stencils. So I wonder how they'll do with alcohol inks. Hang on, let's find out. Howdy everyone. So I thought I'd continue with alcohol ink basics, and this time it's going to be the part 2 on the stencils. So the first time I did just a basic acetate stencil, and this time I have a product out by Momentum, and what it is, it's an adhesive stencil. So as you can see, it's attached to this acetate sheet, and it's got an adhesive backing on it. So the hope is that it'll make a real nice bond with my Yupo paper, and so that way the alcohol ink doesn't seep underneath. So we are going to give this a try, and I purchased 2 of them. I don't know if I'm going to use both of them. The other one's just got some fun words with it. I thought the kids might have fun with that one later. But this one, I love the feathers on it. That's kind of a fun design. So I'm going to play and just throw some color in the background, and then I will add the stencil and play with both adding color and removing color. And I might even do it in the middle of the stencil. So this is going to be a little bit of just kind of me playing around with it and see how it goes. So first things first, let's get some color on this, because we always have to see how it reacts with other colors too. So here we go. Let's get that a little further away there, just to make sure I don't goop it up, and I'm pretty good doing that. So I'm using 91% alcohol. And I'm just kind of moving the alcohol all over real quick. And you can either do this before or after, it doesn't really matter. Let's see, make sure it's still in camera. Yep. And I'm gonna do some warm colors. I've got yellow from Pinata, and my new coral from Pinata also. Gives me another opportunity to play with it. And then, let's see, white plum from Ranger. Okay. And any other colors that I end up using on here, I'll put a picture at the end of this video so you can pick and choose whatever colors you're interested in. All right, and I'm just gonna gently move these around and kind of create a nice blend in the background. You don't have to create blends this way. This is just the way I do it. I don't want to do it too much because I still want to have some colors there. They're very distinctive, but also some nice blends. All right, let me hit this with a little heat. I'm not moving it around a lot because I kind of like the blend that just kind of happened. But I've got the dryer up high enough that it's not really moving the ink around, but it is putting heat all over the area. So as you can see, I'm constantly moving it, but yet it's not super close. And what that does is still give me nice soft edges. I'm not sure why that's doing that. There. Might put a little alcohol right there. All right. Just real quickie. One little stubborn dot there. All right. Another way to take care of a stubborn dot. Like that. Okay. So let me wipe this down. Some alcohol ran off my page and I don't want that to come back and bite me with doing these stencils. So, the next step. So like I said, these stencils here are on a little bit of clear acetate, so you just peel them up. You probably could cut them very carefully, like with an X-Acto, because it might. Okay, apparently I threw this one really far away, so hang on, let me see if I can get by the camera without knocking it too much. Okay, you notice these guys here are just little individual stencils on a big sheet. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't cut these apart. And that would work out rather well. All right. How should I do this? I think I'm going to go in a diagonal, and I might even go back with another one the other direction. I was going to do this video sooner, but when it shipped to me, unfortunately, the package was folded in half, and I had to find some heavy blocks to put it under because it had a nice crease in there, and I just figured it would never lay flat on my artwork, and that would be a problem. I must add a little bit of alcohol ink on my hands there. Okay, so I'm just pressing this definitely in the areas where I knew my little crease was, and I need to be mindful of that. My other one came, it was shipped fine. It just happened to move in the package. You know how sometimes that happens when they send like a humongous box and a little bitty product inside, you know, and it gets moving around, and yeah, that's what happened. All right. So expect this to have an issue right in the middle. That doesn't necessarily mean that this product is bad. So I would judge it pretty much from this zone to this zone and see how well it adheres. Because this is just a shipping issue like I mentioned. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pounce with a paper towel that I'm gonna get folded up a few times, and I'm gonna put a little bit of alcohol on the edge there and blot it in a color and transfer the color. So we're gonna try that first. So let's see how we could do this. Yeah, I guess that way will work best. Okay. All right, so let's see now. I have some real fancy dancy palettes here, my paper plates. Then I'm gonna put some extra ink on, and let's do Do some purple tones. Let's do it on this one over here because it doesn't have many colors on here. All right, I'll put this to the side. Let's try another. I'm going to do a brown. This is another new color, Burrow Brown. That's kind of fun to say. I wonder if we should do... I'm going to do the brass. I haven't tried the brass yet. So if you can hear the metallic type colors, usually have a ball in there. They're a little bit thicker. So definitely shake it up until you can hear that ball shaking around. And I've got copper here, but I'm gonna put this brass right next to it. So I'm just gonna play. All right, so let's put that right there. I'm gonna put a little alcohol on the end here. Basically right on the blade of my paper towel. And let's see. Pick up a little bit of purple. Dab it a little bit. Basically, we're just pouncing. I'm gonna smush this down real quick before I get into this zone. And I'm gonna tap it into another color just spontaneously. And that way my colors will start blending together. Look a lot more interesting that way. I'm gonna pick up a little brass. Kind of hit these little circle zones. All right, let's get some more brown. I'm not sure if it's getting in there, to be honest with you. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna try a little bit of thinner blade, meaning of a paper towel. Okay, this plastic might be raised up enough that it's actually not getting in there too much. So, let's see. I'm gonna try another plan. I have these little guys that you can get on Amazon. And sometimes they come with some of the piñata kits. I'm gonna just put a little bit of alcohol on the tip. And I'm gonna put a little bit more brown in here since I used up a lot of it on the stencil. Not necessarily on the, the page itself. Okay, a little bit of brass. And then let's do some of that more purple there. All right, let's try this again. All right. Oh yeah, that's definitely getting in there now. Maybe with the spine of this, it's able to push it in a little bit further down. I think I'm going to go in with the brass right at the end part. All right. So that looks like it's coming up a little bit. I don't know. pick up a little brass now. I hit some of these circles. All right, and what I'm doing is I'm starting with a fresh bit up towards the top, so that way further down they all look like they're blended in brass, so that it looks consistent. I'm gonna hit the spine just a little bit with brass, and then go up right towards the tip. Let's see if I can get some fresh brass here. Okay, so that one's colorful. All right, I'm gonna get a fresh one because that one's loaded with a lot of color. All right, let's see, what can we do here? All right, so for here, I'm gonna play with removing colors. And I'm gonna put, I just got a cup here and I'm gonna put a little bit of alcohol inside of it. And I'm gonna use the same tool here. Playing camera, yeah. Tool here to dip in and then dab. Push this down because it is probably the worst in the middle feather here. Yeah, that one's just gonna blend under. That's not fun. Okay. So I'm just doing a quickie overall. So that way it looks kind of lightish or even a different tone. Maybe like the colors have blended in a different way. All right, I'm gonna get, let's see. I wanted to play so that way you can kind of see my thought process, which sometimes is all over the place. Sometimes it actually has a solid plan. So I'm gonna kind of wipe off the color a little bit on a paper towel, not a whole lot. And then I'm gonna pick up more alcohol. And I'm gonna work a little bit more, I think on the outside edge. And occasionally wipe off on my paper towel here. Get a little bit more alcohol. One thing these things do is absorb a whole lot of alcohol. Just be mindful of that if you do use them. Which might be really good for what you want to have in mind. But if you don't want to have a lot of alcohol, then it won't be good. All right. Let's see, I'm going to start at the bottom so you can see what my hand's doing. Trying to be more mindful of where my hand is on the camera. Hopefully I'm getting better at this. I keep trying. At least I'm not as self-conscious, and when the hubby or the kids walk in, I could still keep talking. Okay, I lied. I am still self-conscious when they're in the room. But it does seem to help if I keep talking even when they're in the room and I don't stop the camera. So hopefully that made sense. Okay, so I've lightened up the outside edge. I'm gonna come in here a little bit and do this one as well, because I didn't do anything with the stem. Okay, now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna apply a little bit of this brass right in the middle. So I'm gonna pick some of this up, dab it off a little bit. So I've still got some of this brown tone on here too. And very lightly tap it in for right now, just to start getting the color applied. Let's see if I can do this from the edge, meaning holding my hand to the side here. So the first part of me tapping it very lightly was because I would have the most color on my sponge. And that way I can deposit the color evenly across and then start working on blending it in by tapping it and moving it slowly out. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Just ever so slightly moving it out. So I haven't picked up any more ink. I'm going to go again. Now I'm pouncing a little harder. And I'm actually picking up ink off the stencil. If you've noticed, the stencil's getting wider and wider. But I'm picking up ink off the stencil and hopefully transferring it to the Yupo paper. And sometimes blending is just working in one area for a while and just slowly moving from the heavy part to the lighter part. I'm going to do a little bit in here. I'm just trying to do the absolute lightest touch I can, because this being a wider area, you're really going to see it. That part went a little heavy. And I'm actually trying to go a little heavier on this side, so it kind of creates like a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so that looks kind of interesting. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work with a brush on this last guy, because I figured the brush is going to be the one that puts the most amount of color down quickly. And I'm actually debating on which kind of brush to use. There's one brush that'll put down a whole mess of color quick and super fast. Yeah, let's do it. Why not? If we're gonna go for it, we're gonna do it. Sponge brush. So I'm gonna load down a color. Get closer. So I'm gonna put a color here and here and here, and then wipe it a couple times on something on the side. And so that way the colors will start to blend in the middle pretty quick. And then I'll be able to go whoop, whoop, and put quite a bit of color down. I wonder if I should do two or I'm gonna do two colors. So I'm gonna do one color for 1/3 of it, one color for the other third of it. I can't, my fingers are too wide. There we go, this'll work. So one color for 1/3 of it, another color for the middle third, and maybe add some alcohol so that way this one will blend out lightly. There's the plan. All right, so let's keep on using this purple and this brown color. And I gotta do this off camera because I gotta drip and I don't wanna drip over top of my piece. So I will show you on a piece of paper how this looks. All right, let's see. Now I'll do this here. Okay. Nope, probably can't see it at all. Okay, but if I go here, you can see where there's purple, brown, and then it should blend out lighter here. So I'm gonna try to put the purple in the spine. Okay, and swipe down. And let's see if I can rotate it around. I wonder if it'll, not so much, okay. All right, the good news is that you can add color to your sponge and continue doing this. So I'm going to do a little bit more. All right. So it doesn't work very well of like loading up your brush and then flipping the brush. So if you want to do that, I would say put a couple drops on this side, flip it over, put the same color drop on that side, do the same thing with the next color, flip it over, make sure you apply more drops that way. So let me give this a little bit of heat just to make sure it's dried off before I pick this up. All right. Drum roll, here goes nothing. Long arm stretch. Okay, so remember what I said in the middle? That would probably be the worst spot, and I was correct. There was enough air space in there that alcohol or color was allowed to go in those channels. In fact, you can really see it. This is the underside of it. And you can see the channel there it created. So also keep that in mind if you do want to get these type of adhesive stencils, to make sure you store them nice and flat, because that would be a problem later on, especially if you purchase a selection of them. That's a nice investment, so you want to make sure it stays nice and flat. So let me bring you in for a close-up, and I don't think I'm going to put another stencil on top. I think this definitely is a good demonstration of the alcohol inks. Sorry, I kind of moved you pretty quickly there. So this did, and I'm getting in pretty darn close. Hopefully it's still in focus. A nice clean job. And I was pouncing on this pretty hard. Now ignore that middle part like I talked about. Went over it several times, and it is nice and clean. There's a tiny bit of bleed. Let's see if I can find it right in there with that stem. But super impressed. This was a very easy technique, and you could just layer up these feathers. Like, just for example, with this particular design. Okay, focus, thank you. You could have a feather here. You can move it around, you can move it around. You can even build up your colors. In other words, have them very light and ghosted in the background and have heavier ones underneath. Or even just play with like the removal. See, even the removal was nice and clean. There's only a slight little bit of bleed. So the more alcohol you have on your thing, probably the more chance of bleeding underneath it. So I would encourage you to remove gently. But it did a nice job. Okay, and here's the last one where I applied a whole lot of color in a hurry. And everything's nice and clean, except for that middle part. So yeah, the adhesive stencils, definitely a plus. So that works out. Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like a no. A plus, going up, thumbs up. All right, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, but definitely hit the bell to get notified the next time I put a video up. Later, y'all.